Hi, welcome back to another Comprehensive Counseling Initiative monthly video update. I'm Kelly Dunn, and this time we're talking with Adam Campbell, who is the Senior Education Partnerships Manager with the Committee for Children. Welcome, Adam. Thanks for being with us for today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kelly.
Great. To start, so could you tell us a little bit about the organization, about the Committee for Children, and your curriculum, Second Step?
Sure. Yeah. So Committee for Children is a nonprofit, and we're based in Seattle. And we've been around since 1981. So going on over 3 decades here. And our mission is to foster the safety and well-being of children through social emotional learning and development. And since the early 90s, we've really been seen as pioneers in the field of social emotional learning. And we do that through our Second Step program, which is a curriculum that is really a Tier 1 universal curriculum for grades pre-K through 8th grade for schools and districts around the country.
Great. Yeah, I know a lot of our schools here in Indiana are very familiar with the Second Step curriculum. So the Lilly Endowment Comprehensive Counseling Initiative really is seeking to improve student success in multiple areas: achievement, academic achievement, college career readiness, but also social emotional health. So in what ways is your organization overall aligned to those aims, to those goals?
Yeah, so we really see social emotional competency as the foundation for safe and supporting learning environments at schools and districts around the country. And by building socially and emotionally competent students, we find that that's really the most essential piece to building positive school climates. And our goal is really to help schools build those climates that students really want to be part of, that they want to be coming to school and they want to be amongst their peer group and want to be around those supportive adults in the buildings. So that's really our goal.
Great. And how do you see schools, and that could be any level, aligning to the work you're doing? And I'll ask particularly about high schools or secondary level, because I know that's a question that comes up a lot of times for a lot of the secondary levels as they're looking to do more social emotional learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like I mentioned, our Second Step program is currently for pre-kindergarten through 8th grade. But I really see that as laying a foundation for success in high school and beyond, as far as career and college readiness. These are all skills that extend well into adult life for people. And I think, you know, when we really think about, as adults, the people who we know that struggle in life, whether it's keeping a job or struggling with personal relationships, a lot of those challenges can be traced back to social emotional competency. It's very rarely a technical skill that is really getting in the way of success in life. So we really see the work that we do as foundational to that long-term success. And as far as the way that we collaborate with schools, I think that, you know, social emotional learning has had a huge spike in interest over the last 5 or 10 years around the country. And we really step in to align our work with the work that's already being done at schools and districts in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas, where they're really focusing a lot of resources on students that need a higher degree of care in the behavioral and mental health areas. We like to partner with them to come in as that base level Tier 1 foundational piece to provide all students with that common language in that community around social emotional learning.
Great. Yeah, could you talk a little bit about maybe advice you have or words of wisdom you have for schools or school corporations about that collaboration with your organization or others? You know, any advice that you've seen or could give to other schools about how collaborations might work?
Absolutely. And I myself come from a teaching background and have worked with a number of districts. And from my perspective, I think the most successful schools are the ones that are essential parts of the communities in which they exist. And so to me, what that means is that when students walk out of the building, the care and the safety that they experience doesn't end there. It extends into after-school programs, community centers, libraries, public spaces, and even private businesses and other private organizations in the community. That those core values extend outside of the building. And then I think on the flip side of that, I've seen some really amazing examples of schools inviting community members and community organizations into the buildings. And not just having them being visitors or temporary guests, but really letting them play key roles in the learning experience for students. And so that's really a two-way street. And I think, you know it's working when those lines start to get a little bit blurred and you start to break down that boundary between the school and community organizations.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as you know, we're in a very unique situation right now with the pandemic. In what ways has Committee for Children helped school counseling programs or schools in general with all of these more recent challenges, in addition to the ones that they normally have, such as limited time or staffing, resources, or actually many other challenges as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that, we're lucky because we're a nonprofit, we have the ability to put our resources in areas that aren't necessarily driven by revenue. And I think our most recent example of that is our COVID-19 response, and the way that we've been able to kick that up to the top level priority organizationally. And so we've been focusing a lot of our development and a lot of our innovation teams' efforts on creating guidance and creating resources for schools that are dealing with the constraints that the pandemic is putting on them. And so we've got a COVID-19 response section of our webpage with all those resources centralized for folks. And I think that really is rooted in the idea that we know that our curriculum second step is only as good as the teachers who are actually teaching it. And so we put a lot of time and effort into supporting implementation. And so in addition to the COVID-19 stuff, we also host trainings for district staff, and we spend a lot of time just working one-on-one with teachers and counselors and school leaders to make sure they have the support they need to implement second step.
Great, thank you. Well, as you know, sustainability is always a challenge to both schools and to organizations, and especially for our initiative schools. That's something that they're looking to do is to sustain all of these great programs and initiatives that they've taken on. How do you recommend or suggest that schools forge collaborations that promote and sustain all the work that they've been doing?
That's a great question. To me, I think it's one really great way to do that is to find the champions within the school building, within the district administration, finding those key people who believe that collaboration is going to produce positive results for students. And I think social emotional learning is a great example of a place where this works really well. Without a doubt, I think that across the country, every single district has those key people who are invested in social emotional learning, who understand the importance of the long-term impacts that it can have on students' lives. And so I believe that elevating those voices and empowering those folks to spread that enthusiasm, to bring colleagues on board, I think really empowering those voices is a great way to focus on sustainability for programs, and then leveraging community partners to really support those champions within the district.
Yeah, I think those are definitely some methods and some ways that schools have started to do that, especially around this initiative, and they've found that to be very true. So I want to just thank you so much for sharing today about the Committee for Children and for sharing about Second Step. Real quickly, what would you recommend for anyone who's viewing this who might want to know more information or find out more about either the committee or Second Step, to visit your website? Anything else that you might recommend that they get in contact with or check out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, secondstep.org is an awesome resource, not just for, our curriculum, but we've got a ton of other free resources on there that have been really helpful for schools, especially given the COVID-19 situation that we all face. One other plug that I'll make is for the collaborative of academic, social, and emotional learning. And they're at castle.org, and they're a really key player in the research behind social emotional learning, and they are champions in the advocacy world around getting states to adopt curriculum standards and guidance for districts. And actually, they yesterday just published an amazing roadmap guide for districts to walk leaders through social emotional learning during the reopening process in the fall, and how key that's going to be in the reopening process. So I would encourage everyone to check that out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We'll definitely make sure we get that information up on here and added so people can check out both. That would be wonderful.
Great.
Well, again, thanks so much, Adam, and we really appreciate you sharing today with us all of your information and the resources that will help schools. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. I'm really happy to be here.